Breaking news, the Lakers have waived Jordan Goodwin in order to make way for Marcus Smart. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the LakersNation.com YouTube channel. Let's get into what's going on, why it happened this way, and more. Make sure you guys do subscribe right here to the channel and turn on those notifications as well. We're going to keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers. I'll tell you what, everybody, I heard earlier today that this was likely the path that the Lakers were going to wind up taking. My hope was that they would ultimately find some type of another move, another way to clear up the space to give Marcus Smart the full biannual exception, which will pay him $5.1 million this season. But this was always the cleanest path, waiving Jordan Goodwin, who had only $25,000 of his salary guaranteed for this year. So, according to Shams Charania, the Lakers waived Jordan Goodwin. Goodwin emerged as a key rotation piece for J.J. Redick late last season. Now, Marcus Smart was officially waived earlier this evening by the Washington Wizards. They made that official. Smart will clear waivers in a few days and then can officially sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. But the Lakers needed to be under the first apron far enough in order to give Smart the full biannual exception, which will start at $5.1 million that he is reportedly getting. So this comes on the heels of Shake Milton being waived as well by the Lakers. That one we were very much anticipating. We expected. He had $3 million on the books, all of it non-guaranteed. The expectation was that they would waive him regardless of whether or not they were going to be making the move for Marcus Smart, that the Lakers would waive Shake Milton to, if nothing else, open up a roster spot as well as clear a little bit of flexibility below that first apron. But now, Smart coming in, you can see over here on Spot Track, they've got the salaries here, and Marcus Smart coming in just over that $5.1 million and change there. Then the next season, $5.4 million essentially, just on a regular raise coming off of that salary. But the Lakers, they needed to get far enough below the first apron hard cap. They did trigger a hard cap at the first apron. They did it when they used their full mid-level exception in order to bring in DeAndre Ayton, and so they needed room below that first apron. They cannot cross the first apron no matter what. It is a true hard cap now. They can't cross that for any reason, so you needed enough space below that hard cap in order to sign Marcus Smart now that he has been bought out by the Washington Wizards. So they needed $5.1 million. Where do they currently sit right now after Jordan Goodwin's Spot Track on top of things? This is breaking news, and they've already removed his salary from the Lakers books, $6.2 million below the hard cap. Now, technically, the Lakers do still have a roster spot open because Shake Milton and Jordan Goodwin are coming off of the roster, only Marcus Smart going on. That will put the Lakers at 14 players under contract. However, because they will be just about $1.1 million above that first or below that first apron hard cap, they're not really going to be able to go sign somebody else with that kind of wiggle room. They would have to follow up with some other kind of move if they wanted to go sign another player. And frankly, if they had that move all set, they probably would have just executed that and then kept Jordan Goodwin. I know there was some talk that maybe they would find some type of a trade. I'm sure those conversations were had about trying to find some type of a deal, combining some salaries, find a deal that could shed some contracts or something like that in order to give them the ability to keep Jordan Goodwin. I know they did not want to waive Jordan Goodwin if they could avoid it, but clearly that tells you that the options that were out there on the trade market were just simply not palatable, were not feasible for the Lakers to do at this time in order to make this kind of a move. So it was the only other option that they had aside from, say, waiving and stretching a player like Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent. You could have waived and stretched one of them. I wouldn't say that should be the path they should go down. I'm saying that if they decided they had to clear up the space to sign Marcus Smart, aside from a trade, it was waive Jordan Goodwin or waive and stretch a player like a Gabe Vincent or a Maxi Kleber or someone like that, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially because then you would have dead money sitting on the books. So really, it came down to a trade or waiving Jordan Goodwin, and unfortunately, obviously, the trade option was just not a realistic pathway here for the Lakers based on whatever opportunities they had or didn't have available to them. So now the Lakers have 14 players under contract, or they will once Marcus Smart signs. They will have 14 players on full guaranteed regular contracts. Now, where do they go next? So what happens from here? Well, they do still have two open two-way spots. We've got Trey Jemison right now taking up one two-way spot for the Los Angeles Lakers. I've been told it's unlikely that Eric Dixon will end up getting another two-way spot for the Lakers. So that leaves 2 open two-way spots for them to fill. Those will not affect their cap space. Those will not affect the first apron or anything like that. So they can still make additions to their roster via those two-way spots. That's nothing they have to do at this second. Maybe that goes into training camp when they ultimately make that kind of a move. It is unfortunate to lose Jordan Goodwin. I would imagine that he will probably get picked up out there. It wouldn't shock me if someone claimed him off of waivers because it's such a small salary. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Jordan Goodwin winds up getting claimed. If he doesn't, I would assume, and this is my guess, that the Lakers would have interest in giving Jordan Goodwin one of those two-way spots. But if I'm Jordan Goodwin, and I think the opportunities will be there, I'm taking a regular NBA contract somewhere else easily. I don't think there's any question about that. So I think the Lakers, if you are the Lakers, you needed to make this move thinking you're probably going to be losing Jordan Goodwin at this point. And it's certainly unfortunate because he really was an important player for the team, important enough for them to make a move last year in order to give him a full contract so that they could use him in the playoffs. They had him on a two-way contract. By making that move last year and giving him a full NBA contract, that made him playoff eligible. So he was important enough for the team to go do something in order to make him a playoff eligible piece because JJ Redick wanted to be able to use him in the postseason. A pretty solid defensive player filled in that role after the departure of Max Christie that they certainly needed in their backcourt. Wreaked a lot of havoc defensively out there on the floor. But now they're going to bring in the veteran Marcus Smart to come in and take over that role and that job. And we've seen him win Defensive Player of the Year. He's obviously a different tier of player compared to Jordan Goodwin. So ultimately, while this is, I'm sure a lot of Lakers fans are going to be frustrated at having to lose Jordan Goodwin in this situation. But I think the trade-off being that you were able to get Marcus Smart. And I think simply the risk that you have to take if you're the Los Angeles Lakers here. So again, I'm not expecting anybody to be happy about the Lakers having to waive Jordan Goodwin in order to make this happen. But Marcus Smart, obviously a player that they had to take the chance and go get. And unfortunately, this probably means Jordan Goodwin is going to wind up getting picked up by some other team. Now, are there more moves coming for the Los Angeles Lakers? Possibly. But again, as I said, if there was some consolidation trade out there, if there was some type of other move, they probably would have just executed it now and then not waived Jordan Goodwin. Again, I've been told they really did not want to waive Jordan Goodwin. That wasn't a path that they necessarily were excited about going down, but it was what they had to do in order to bring in Marcus Smart. In totality, when you look at what the Lakers have done this summer, they've brought in Marcus Smart, they brought in DeAndre Ayton, they brought in Jake LaRavia, Adou Thiero. They've made some significant changes and done it pretty much without giving up any future assets, really. They haven't given up any of their future draft capital, their future first-round pick, Dalton Knecht, their expiring contracts, all still on the books. So the Lakers have maintained quite a bit of flexibility here moving forward and moving into the season to potentially make other moves. But unfortunately, in this situation, it came at the expense of Jordan Goodwin. So Lakers Nation, again, not the best news. I think most Lakers fans wanted to see Jordan Goodwin stick with the Lakers. I certainly did. But as I've been saying, from the moment this Marcus Smart thing came up, that was the cleanest path in order to get this done. Then you don't rely on the help of any other team via the